If you're a skinny guy in your 20s watching this right now, I need you to understand something. Right now is the best time for you to build an incredible physique. Not when you're 30, not when you're 40, not when you're 50, but right now. If you do not know me, my name is Tyler and I'm an online fitness coach, and I specifically specialize in helping skinny men build aesthetic muscle. See, I was once a skinny guy and I made so many mistakes when it came to lifting, bodybuilding, and putting on weight. And in this video, I'm gonna break down all the mistakes that I went through, all the things that I struggled with, and the blueprint that I came up with to make it easier for you guys to put on weight as a skinny guy, okay? So the very first thing you have to understand is that there are certain mistakes you are making. A lot of the time in life, you have to strip away certain things in order for you to grow. You have to sacrifice in order for you to grow. And for putting on muscle and getting stronger, you have to figure out what you are doing wrong so you can grow. And the very first thing that skinny guys struggle with is tracking. Not tracking your food is one of the biggest reasons why skinny guys struggle, right? You just go and you eat your mom's spaghetti or you eat X, Y, or Z, but you don't track it. You don't know exactly how much you're eating. You're not measuring your food. You're not tracking your food. You're not putting it into an app. You're not eating the same meal so you know exactly what to eat. You have no type of tracking, and that is the reason why you are still skinny. If the scale hasn't moved in 2 weeks and you're not tracking your food, there is a reason why the scale hasn't moved in 2 weeks. You cannot break the laws of physics. You cannot break energy laws and different things that are human nature laws, universal laws. And so you have to start tracking your meals, okay? Whatever it is, whatever the amount of food you need to eat, you got to track it, right? You got to figure out your macros and you have to hit that number every single day, or else you're going to continue to be skinny and you're going to continue to be stuck. So this is the very first thing, not tracking your meals and not tracking your macros, okay? Right? I'm a big proponent in quality over quantity, but you have to understand you got to get your calories up, you got to get your numbers up, and you should be eating high quality numbers, which is my second point, okay? A lot of people think that you can just eat whatever you want, and that is the problem, right? You want to be eating a lot of food, you want to be eating high quantities, but high quality food, okay? So eating low quality food is why skinny guys struggle, right? They go out and they think, okay, I need to bulk up, so let me buy pizza, let me buy burgers, let me buy cereal, let me buy bread, let me buy these foods so I can just put on as much weight as possible. That is the wrong mindset to have. The mindset you want to have is, how can I put on the right type of weight? How can I put on aesthetic type of weight and aesthetic type of muscle so that people look at me and they think I actually go to the gym? So people look at me and think I'm actually disciplined. I actually sacrifice for my future self. Okay, so that's what you want. You want to be eating high quality foods, not low quality foods, and you want to be tracking all of your meals. And so how you want to do this is you want to figure out your total daily energy expenditure. It's super easy. You go online, you find a calculator, TDEE, and all you do is you put in your information and then it spits out a number that is your daily energy expenditure, okay? Calories are energy, and so that energy that you're expending is the amount of calories that you are letting go every single day. And so in order for you to put on weight and actually look bigger and more aesthetic, you have to be in a calorie surplus. You have to be eating more calories than you are expending. I know it sounds simple, but a lot of guys aren't doing this, and then they're not tracking. So they have no idea if they're actually hitting that number that they need to hit in order to be in a calorie surplus, right? If you don't know that number, how are you going to hit it, right? If you want a target, you need to be able to see the target, right? If you want to hit a target, you need to be able to see it. Okay, so the very first thing is being able to see your target, right? Or else you are just wasting your time. You don't know what you're eating. You don't know how much you're eating. You don't know the macros, and then you're eating shit food too, and so you're getting a shit result. That is why guys end up being skinny fat, and that is why guys make no progress, is because they're not tracking their food, and then they're eating low quality foods too, okay? So make sure you avoid this step by figuring out your caloric number, eating higher quality foods, and then focusing on getting to that number while eating high quality foods. Ground beef, eggs, rice, steak, salmon, sourdough bread, single ingredient pastas, different things that are actually going to be good and high quality that are going to allow you to put on weight, but also keep your testosterone high, keep your mood high, keep your energy high, right? Rice, fruits, avocados, cooking your foods in butter. These are all high calorically dense foods that are going to allow you to keep those things high, your testosterone, your mood, and your energy, so that way you can still be aesthetic. Other things you can do to track your food is to use MyFitnessPal any type of app that is going to allow you to put in your calories, your macros, and the daily energy expenditure that you're getting. But the best thing that every single guy should do is just figure out 3 meals that are going to get him to his number, right? 3 meals that is going to get you to your number, and then you just interchange those meals and keep those meals high quality, right? You can rotate between ground beef, rice, eggs, salmon, rice, eggs, avocado, steak, rice, eggs, avocado. Keep it a little bit different, but have the same premise, right? Have the foods that are going to get you to your numbers, and then you are going to be all good while keeping it high quality. The next thing that's super important is your training. Diet is always going to be number one and the most important thing because it makes up for so much. How you feel, how you look, your energy, your testosterone levels, your mood, right? All of that stuff is heavily derived from diet. But the next thing is going to be your training, okay? So you have to dial in your training, and there are certain ways that you should train in order to put on aesthetic muscle. So the very first thing is to be hitting compound movements, right? As a skinny guy, you want to be focusing on strength. And how you focus on strength is doing low reps and high weight, okay? So rep ranges of about 4 to 8, maybe even 2 to 6, but 4 to 8 is really a sweet spot for your compound movements to be able to focus on strength. As a skinny guy, you have to focus on strength, and how you focus on strength is doing high weight and low reps in good quality form, okay? And a great way to focus on your form is to make sure you're going 3 seconds on the way down and 1 second on the way up to explode, okay? So 3 seconds on the eccentric, 1 second on the concentric, and that is how you're gonna be able to build more strength, okay? So compound movements, bench press, deadlifts, squat. These three are the key essential compound movements, and not only are they gonna help you add strength to your body, but they're also going to increase your testosterone. And the reason why these increase your testosterone is because you are forcing your endocrine system to work so hard from doing these heavy movements, okay? So bench press, squat, deadlift, those three you should incorporate into your workouts, right? At least bench press and at least squat, like 1 to 2 times a week, and make sure you're staying in these rep ranges for these exercises because you need to focus on strength, right? Focus on high weight, low reps, so you can build up your muscles and focus on strength a little bit more, okay? The other thing you want to do outside of compound movements is the base, it's the foundation. It's the easy stuff that you can do at the start of every single workout and that you should be expending a lot of your energy into because that is going to help increase your testosterone. But in order to stay aesthetic, there are certain muscle groups that you need to focus on. And these are going to be the main muscle groups you want to focus on every single workout, every single day. Okay, so first thing is having a wider back, right? Wider back is so important, right? When you think of someone with an aesthetic physique, you want to have that 1.6 to 1 shoulder to waist ratio, right? That is what girls find most attractive. That is like the movie star aesthetic, attractive physique look. And so in order to do that, you have to grow your back and you have to grow your shoulders, right? These are the two areas that are really key. Outside of your compound movements, really focus on wide back, shoulders, and upper chest. These three things are going to give you that wider chest cage that is going to allow you to have that 1.6 to 1 shoulder to waist ratio. So if you want an aesthetic physique right before summer, focus on doing exercises that have this in mind. Your shoulders, your upper chest, and your wider back, okay? And some key exercises for this are going to be pull-ups. You can do like a lateral raise. You can do a incline dumbbell bench press. You can do an incline barbell bench press. These three muscle groups right here are going to be the things that's most important for getting that 1.6 to 1 shoulder to waist ratio and having a more dominant frame, right? As a guy, you want to focus on frame and then aesthetics and also your compound movements to increase your testosterone, right? So wider back, shoulders, upper chest are going to be the most important things when it comes to that, to building that wider frame. You guys, I'm sure you've heard of frame modeling, and the reason why that was such a big thing is because this guy had a super wide chest cage, and that is why he had such a wide frame. And how he got that was by having a wider back, shoulders, and an upper chest, okay? Some other areas that are going to be very important are going to be things like forearms and triceps. You have to understand that triceps actually make up 2/3 of your arm. And if you think about it, your entire arm, triceps and forearms are going to make up most of your arm. A lot of guys focus on this, but they neglect this, which makes up 2/3 of your arm. So make sure you put more focus on your forearms and your triceps when you are working out. And so your arms are going to grow just naturally from doing that. So these are the areas you want to focus on. compound movements to get your strength up, and then aesthetic muscle groups to have that more attractive physique. Now you have your diet and you have your training locked in. You know exactly the muscle groups, you know exactly what you should be eating, how many calories you should eat every single day. I'm going to put a TDEE calculator into the description so you guys know how many calories you need to eat every single day in order to be in a caloric surplus, okay? So outside of that, the next thing that is so important is optimizing your foundation. And what is your foundation? Your foundation is basically your systems. Your foundation is your habits and the things that you do every single day. So what are some things that every single person does every single day? They sleep, they eat, and they rest. So you have to learn how to optimize these things in order to grow. People grow outside of the gym. People grow when they are resting. In the gym, your muscles break down, and outside of the gym, when you are focusing on this foundation, that's when they grow back stronger. So your foundation is based on your sleep and your recovery. Sleep and recovery, and then the other point is your lifestyle, okay? So in order for you to have good sleep and recovery every single night, you need to go to bed at the same time every single night. And what I do every single night, and the reason why I get such good sleep every single night and I have deep and vivid dreams, is because I go to bed at the same time and I set what's called a bedtime alarm, okay? I set a bedtime alarm 30 minutes before sleep. And what this does is this lets me know, and my brain and my body know, that it is time to wind down and that it is time to go to sleep. And how I do that is by putting my phone away. 30 minutes before bed, I put my phone away and I make sure I have my blue light glasses on, blue light blocking glasses. So I'm getting no blue light, I'm getting no artificial light or anything like that, because when you get artificial light and you get blue light before bed, it's keeping you up. It's keeping your brain and your body up and awake when you need to be going to sleep, right? So you're not going to be getting that deep and REM sleep, which is going to produce more testosterone. So each night before bed, set a bedtime alarm 30 minutes before you must go to sleep. Okay, this signifies that it is time to wind down and time to get off your phone. Start reading, shower, wash your face, brush your teeth, do all of that stuff right before bed so you have some time to wind down and you can easily go into your sleep. Another thing that I would recommend for you guys is once these 30 minutes starts happening, is to turn off any harsh bright lights, right? You don't want to have any lights like this going on. You want to have some LED lights going on that are light on your eyes, so that way your body knows it's time to wind down and go to sleep, right? Red light is the best thing you can do right before bed to speed up that process of winding down before you go to sleep, right? So bedtime alarm 30 minutes before sleep, that is going to allow you to easily fall into deep and REM sleep every single night. And additionally, you want to take a little bit of magnesium and raw honey, because these have the enzymes and the properties that your body needs to produce more testosterone while you sleep. So when you get deep in REM sleep and you have these vivid dreams, you wake up more refreshed and your testosterone is going to be higher, and that is going to affect your gym performance, how you feel, your metabolism, all of that different type of stuff, okay? So sleep and recovery is so important, and you should be sleeping at the same time every single night. If you do this, your sleep is going to be great. You're going to be having deep and REM sleep, and your recovery is going to be even better, and your muscles are going to grow back stronger, okay? So the next thing is lifestyle. And lifestyle is something that can either help your recovery or it can hurt your recovery, right? There's really two options where that goes. And how it can hurt your recovery is if you are drinking, smoking weed, taking drugs. These are all estrogenic properties, and these are all things that are going to keep you up at night. Super important thing for you guys to notice in your life is figuring out where the vices are, cutting those out, and replacing them with better things, right? And that is what I mean by the final touches, right? Is figuring out where you're going wrong and switching that. So one of the things that I do that's one of my final touches is, instead of drinking, smoking, vaping, watching porn, or different things like that, I replace those bad habits with other better habits, right? When I was super skinny, I was doing all of those things. I was drinking, I was vaping, I was watching porn, I was smoking weed, I was taking drugs. All of those things are things that I was doing on occasion, right? And so you have to replace those habits. And so what I replace them with is my lifestyle going up and doing things like tanning, grounding, reading, and meditating, right? These are all things that are going to train your mind, train your body, and lower your cortisol, which is going to in turn increase your recovery and increase your testosterone levels, right? A lot of people think, oh, I can smoke weed and I'm going to lower my cortisol and I'm going to relax. That's not really how it works. All smoking weed is that it really does is keep you complacent. It's putting estrogen in your body, and then you're also not going to be able to sleep as good because you're not getting that deep and REM sleep, which weed, alcohol, drugs, they all block those things, right? So your lifestyle goes up when you do things like tanning, you get more vitamin D, you get out into the sun more, grounding, you're going to be outside, you're connecting with nature, reading, meditating. These are all things that are going to lower your cortisol and actually help your recovery and help you optimize your foundation. So these are some final touches that I would recommend for all of you guys to go out and do and replace your vices with these habits, right? Replacing your vices is literally the final touches for you growing as a skinny guy, right? When I was a skinny guy, this is what I was doing. I was smoking, I was drinking, I was vaping, I was watching porn, I was doing all of these things, and it was holding me back from actually growing, actually getting better, right? Because that was stopping my recovery, right? You have to understand that outside of the gym is when your muscles grow back stronger. And so if you are doing things to hold your recovery back, like drinking, smoking, staying up late, not getting deep in REM sleep, then ultimately your muscles aren't going to grow as strong as they could be. Okay, so replacing bad habits with good ones like these are so important, right? Building a business, doing something complex, right? Replacing bad habits with good habits like those. This is the Skinny Guy's Guide blueprint to putting on aesthetic muscle, to feeling your best. Summer is right around the corner, so make sure you guys are doing these things. I'm going to put a link into the description of the TDEE calculator so you know exactly how many calories you are expending every single day and what to eat to be in a caloric surplus, okay? Follow my Instagram and you can also see all of my diet tips, all of my training tips on there. And if you would like one-on-one coaching, click the link in the bio and I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.